Hey everyone, what day is it? I think it's Thursday. This is my third live in a row. Super excited to have you all on to join us with Elizabeth Nancy Jansen. And I believe she's jumping on now. Welcome to the Real Raw Mama Spotlight, where if you're just joining me for the first time, there she is. Elizabeth is, there she is. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm
I'm out in nature. I'm winging it. How are you?
I'm great. Great to see you.
You too. Thanks for joining me.
That's wonderful. You're outside. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I gave you the questions beforehand, but of course they're not meant to be studied or prepared for necessarily, but I usually dive right into the deep question first. And the first question is, when you hear the words mother wound, where do you feel that in your body? What does that mean to you? And how does it make you feel?
Well, you did give me them ahead of time, and I read it, and my first reaction, I went into a negative space, and it hit me in my gut, and it made me recollect some guilt and shame. And I didn't stay there long, though, because I've done a lot of internal work. You know, that was taking me back to 15 years ago when, I had my run with alcoholism. And we will get into that with the story I'm about to tell you. But I had a run where I imploded my family with the misuse of alcohol as a coping strategy for my dark, dark pain. And it hurt my children badly. And, that's my mother wound. And I had to go into radical acceptance and self-forgiveness where, I took my place to, forgiveness and from trauma to triumph. And that's where I'm hoping that we can see that women can go to a place of beautiful healing and a place of purpose. And
Absolutely.
that's where this is going to go with my story and how I want to share this today.
I love that. And I can definitely identify with a lot of what you said in terms of struggling with alcohol and using it to mask whatever is going on in you. Finding probably not the best way to cope or to self-soothe.
Yes.
And I find that is really, really a deep part of the mother wound, is the inability to be there for yourself, to really fully sit with yourself in however it is that you're feeling and whatever it is that you're going through.
Yes, absolutely. So that's, the mother wound. Really, I'm a mother of 4 children, actually 5. One passed very early on, lasting only, a few minutes. But even that, was very sad, but yet a beautiful thing. I had a choice to terminate that pregnancy. I knew the child was not going to live, but it was a precious moment of a life well lived in love. I knew I brought that child into love and shared that loving moment. And that was, as sad as it was beautiful for me, and for that baby to know that was so loved.
Absolutely.
So, and I wanted that baby to survive and tried every possible thing imaginable that I could do to have that baby survive. So mothers will go to any length.
Absolutely. And we go through so many, I can't even fathom losing a child, but beyond all of the other really intense emotional things that we go through on the journey of motherhood in and of itself.
Yes, and I will never forget that, but everyone else in my life never thinks of that baby. It's long gone, but I don't even know why I brought that up today, but it's not gone to me. You know, when we talk about mother wound, that baby has long gone to everyone else, but not to me. And it's a joy, even though the baby lasted such a short time. It was a joy to me and not forgotten. You know, I'm holding my heart that I know I did everything in my human power to bring that to life.
Absolutely. I love that. And I was going to ask you, is there a story that you wanted to share that really brings up the mother wound for you? And so is there another story that really I know, I mean, we had a chat the other day. Excuse, the dogs are barking at something. I'm not sure what.
Well,
Um, we had a chat the other day that you shared so many just
yeah,
stories of resilience.
yeah, yeah. So the story I wanted to talk about today was, the story that really broke my back, as I say. Uh, I came from humble beginnings, and the way I saw out of that for me, uh, I came from Northern Ontario, Canada, and my mother was schizophrenic, and she did not have the ability to look after her four children. She did not have the mental capacity to know how to look after us. And so my siblings, we just survived. And but I knew if I educated myself and I helped my siblings get well educated, that was our ticket out of poverty. And I was able to get to university, and I became a physical therapist. So when I became a physical therapist, I was able to get a good job. I, got married and all those good things. But my fourth child was born with profound autism. And this is where I just couldn't cope with his inability to speak. His behaviors were so negatively profound in terms of his self-harm and his harm to others. It was just, he was not welcomed at school. He was not welcomed in any community. His own family didn't even want him.
Wow.
His own father wanted to put him up for adoption. That's how bad it was.
My goodness.
And so I had a very, to me, it was a big job. I was director of a large healthcare program of over 20 physical therapists, combined healthcare professionals of physical therapists, occupational therapists, and social workers, and covered a specialty of musculoskeletal specialty of Southwestern Ontario, and had to travel large distances. And I'd get a call, oh, come on, pick up your son. He's kicked in the bus window. He's kicked out the bus window, and the police are here because he's harmed the teacher, and we can't keep him in the schoolyard. So come pick him up. And I'd be in a different city 2 hours away. And my husband would refuse to come pick him up. So I'd be racing down the 401. I'd be in Windsor. If you know where Detroit is, it's just across the bridge in Windsor.
Right.
And I'd be 2 hours away. So from my home. So it was just a nightmare. And so my coping was drinking. And from a social drinker, over a short period of time, I became an alcoholic. And that is no excuse, like no one poured it down my throat, but that's what happened. That became my mother wound. But the more I drank, it was just a nightmare. And I didn't lose, it was so hard on my family because, and especially my third child, my daughter, who was 2 years older, I didn't have her go to the same school. I kept her separate away from her brother because that would have just been too hard on her. But and my other children, my first child and my second child, my daughter was 12 years older, 12 and 10 years older than my later two. So I had a separation of two different marriages. So anyway, the third child really suffered and saw her drunken mother, you know, mostly on the weekends. So it really was hard. And then it really got bad when I had to place him into residential care for behavioral treatments. And when he went into residential care, I placed myself in rehab. And I knew I couldn't stop drinking myself. But once I went into rehab, I knew it was do or die. And I never took a drink since. So that was 15 years ago.
Wow. Congratulations. That's really amazing.
Yeah. And there I, you know, took radical self-acceptance and forgiveness. And once I did that, the beauty of that is then I accepted his autism. What I was doing was fighting in trying to normalize him. And, you know, I could see, you know, with autism, if you know one person with autism, you only know one person with autism. It's so diverse, you know. He has a very severe form. Like he's now 27 and he has the cognitive level of a 2-year-old. But if you look at him, he's this gorgeous hunk of a man that's 6'2". He is, you know, just physically beautiful, but he has no sense of danger. You know, he would walk in front of a train, and he is still nonverbal, but his superpower is love. All he does is love you. And I mean, you could not really have a conversation with him, but his body language, his interest in whatever you're doing. I mean, if you were making cookies, he'd be right there trying to help you. Maybe making a bit of a mess, but you know, he'd be interested. If you were looking at a book, he'd want to know what you're looking at, especially if there were pictures. He'd want to engage with you. So his superpower is all about love. And that became, you know, my mess of alcoholism became my message about, because he taught me that all about love. You know, no matter what happened to him, he came back with love.
I love that. I'm being bombarded with love by this fluffy dog right here. Oh my goodness. I keep trying to get a quiet space. There's so much that you've gone through to be a mother, and you're still on that journey. I mean, it never ends, right? And that's like really what you described, like the mother wound coming full circle, you know, the wound of you being an unsupported mother and not having the help that you really needed, especially with so many things, so many, you know, challenges that people don't necessarily deal with children on a regular basis. And I can't even fathom some of the things that you must have felt.
Oh,
and
it was
so
awful, you know. And at that time there weren't the programs, and now there are many programs, they're still hard to get, but at that time all the therapy was private if you could get it. And you know, I didn't get a confirmed diagnosis for him until he was 4, and it was just a fight to get everything. And even his own family were denying, oh, there's nothing wrong with him. And his family doctor, oh, he's the last of your children. Like, I knew there was something wrong with him at 6 months, but it was, I'm overreacting, I'm overprotective. But because he was my 4th child, he was not speaking or trying to speak at 6 months or at 1 year old, trying to say mama, dada, juice, birdie, you know, not interested in fire truck going by. I knew there was something wrong,
Wow.
but everyone was
And
saying, "You're the crazy person. What's wrong? Relax." No.
wow,
And
that's so much to be to deal with on a daily basis. I just can't even imagine. And so what are the gifts that you've received through this journey with all of these intense emotions and um, sort of like self-abandoning too for you to really come back to yourself and remember who you are, and find the support that you need? What are the gifts that you offer to the planet that you've been able to receive on your journey?
well, the total surrender, the total surrender. And, what I had to do was to, it was, a spiritual, I'm on a spiritual journey. And what happened to me is I took myself to the hospital and asked for treatment for my alcoholism. And once I went into the hospital, I really was accepting of their help. And I felt very much at peace that, I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God. And I felt, okay, now I'm going to let God and all these people just focus on me and help me. And I did go to the 12-step program, and I have an amazing addictionologist that I still see. And working the 12 steps program, Alcoholics Anonymous, worked for me and still works for me. I know there are other programs, but I'm dedicated to, you can't, I couldn't do this alone. And the 12 steps it's just a beautiful design for living. And it is, most people don't know that it's a spiritual program.
Right.
And it's just an amazing way. And it's just grounded me from the beginning all the way to the way I live now in a spiritual, sober life. And it has brought me to bringing me to the ride. I call AA now my autism and alcoholism, how it's brought me to acceptance and to a spiritual way of living with my son and myself, in a spiritual way of living with both of us, and in my family way, and in my working life now. So I've retired from physiotherapy as a director, but now I am an alcohol and drug recovery coach, as well as a sober relationship coach. So I brought my purpose into the recovery life to help other women find sober living, reaching their goals in living a beautiful recovered life.
Wow, I love that. Well, that really kind of leads into the next question, which is how you shine light on the planet. And I think that, first and foremost, you're shining your light just in the way that you live your life, to really embody your deepest truth and embody your values. And I just really honor the journey that you've been on and all that you're doing for women. I mean, it's so needed, so needed.
Absolutely. So, I came from a place of absolute self-loathing. When I'm alcoholic, my story is not unique. Many people, I'm going to talk about women alcoholics or drug addicts. When you crash, and there are, at any walk of life, you could be a million, billion, trillionaire, struggling with substance abuse and hit the bottom. And, could be the person you see that is on the street. You don't know where that person came from. And that is, near death or dying, or dead. That's how severe this disease is.
Right.
But that person can recover, but likely that person is feeling so low, like self-loathing, lower than dirt. But
Right.
as you get recovery, any person is also capable of recovery if they choose, if they want it. And it's
Absolutely.
available. It is available to everyone. So whether you're in Canada, whether you're in the US, in just about any country, and I know this is global where we are, but recovery is available online anywhere. And if people don't know how to reach recovery, I can help direct you to where the services are. But it's global. So it is reachable to get services. But the point is, you can go from that wanting to not even take another breath, you're feeling that low, but you can,
Right.
through self-awareness and through working it, you can evolve over. It's not magical, it takes time. It's not like a light switch. I'm going to stop drinking or stop using and boom, I'm going to feel better within the next moment. No,
Right.
it takes time. But if you work it, it is so worth it. You don't
Absolutely.
have to take another drink. I went to the hospital. I relied on I use a medical model. I didn't want to struggle. I didn't want to be a repeat relapser. So I went to help to get it. I knew I couldn't stop drinking alone. And you can go to, in the US, in Canada, you don't have to go to private pay places.
For sure.
There are places you can get to that are subsidized through your tax dollars versus
I
private.
love that. Yeah, there really are so many things out there if you're able to connect to the right people, and also finding the right 12 steps may not be for everyone, but there's a way for everyone. I feel like for me, I personally, my journey is with plant medicine, but there are so many different things that can help you unravel
Yeah.
whatever it is that's happening in you that really just wants to be felt and heard.
And there's the codependency, the people who love us and want to help so much, but who are on top and obsessed with helping their addict or addict or alcoholic, and they're just as needy of help as well, which often go unnoticed, but their stress level is just so high that they're so sick as well, and they go unnoticed, and their systems, they're the ones with the massive migraines and the stressed organs. And
Yes.
that people don't realize that, someone who's worrying 24/7 about whether their alcoholic or their drug user child is coming home, they don't realize how sick that they're getting as well. So,
Right. So true. And so what are the tools? This is one of my favorite questions to ask people, in the moments of chaos, or in the moments when you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed by whatever is happening around you or within you. What are the tools that you go to, or what are some of your favorite tools that bring you back to center, that ground you and remind you of the wholeness that's always within you?
so my first thing is prayer. I pray, and uh, that brings me to always to hold this to my center. And in that prayer, there is always gratitude, my practice of gratitude. And I have great gratitude with my husband. I have an amazing husband now, and we practice gratitude every day together. It's part of our love, nurturing our love.
I
And
love that.
it's a way of nurturing our love every day with a gratitude practice. And another thing that I do that helps me keep me on my very high vibration is, and you're not going to believe this, uh, but it was part of my journey of healing, is I ride a Harley.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So
I
I do
love
a
that
lot.
so much.
I so getting me out of my ultimate of self-love is I ride my Harley. So I found this joy in sobriety. So when I was actually blooming or finding that ultimate in ultimate joy to get me to my highest vibration, you know, when you're wanting to find that bliss that you've never really felt before, or you haven't experienced maybe never. And I found it when riding a Harley, and
Wow.
I just absolutely love it. So I started riding in my 50s, and I still have a Harley and just love it. So it just takes me to that highest level of joy. And when I'm riding down the highway, I just sing, I pray, I just fly with the angels. And
Oh
that
my gosh,
is,
I love that so much.
I'm just talking to God. I just, nothing can, it's just, it's ultimate joy. So that's what I do to ground me. I don't know if I'm
I don't.
grounded or flying, but I'm feeling
I
it.
love
I'm
it. Well,
feeling it.
I don't have a Harley by any means, but I do have a Vespa, and I actually used to drive my Vespa up until I was probably a week before I had my son. So I would drive around pregnant, and it was, you're right, it's just such a freeing experience. And I every morning I would say my affirmations while I was on my bike.
Yeah. So yeah, that it's just a wonderful thing. It's so freeing. It's that freedom that you ultimate, and nothing nothing can harm you there. Like, of course I ride safely and, you know, not recklessly, but you just feel free. It's free. And there's nothing, no aches and pains, nothing, just a sense of freedom.
I love that. And so in it sounds like joy and freedom are definitely a part of all of the things that you embody. And so what if there was a statement of love or just a statement that embodies who you are and how you walk the earth that you could share with the planet, what would it be?
I'm very grateful for the experiences I've had. I'm very grateful for my son with autism because he's taught me so much. Uh, he's taught me love. He's really taught me love, and that is his superpower. And he's taught me the deep love that I have for him, and understanding how to love him and appreciate him as an individual, that where I thought he didn't have the capacity to to be loved, to do anything, to be anything. And I was judging him. And where there's judgment, there is no love. And
Absolutely.
and I didn't like that. He taught me that big lesson about my own child. So what was I doing with other people? What was I doing to myself? Always judging myself. And he taught me how much I didn't love myself. And so how much more I do love myself. So even my ability to ride and enjoy that motorcycle, I've gained so much self-love to the point of now I can enjoy bliss. I, if you do not have self-love, like I've taken it from self-loathing to finding and feeling and vibrating to the
Right.
highest level, that is self-love as I define it. To be able to feel it, seize it, and feel it, and recreate it. I can't. I have to fill my cup with so much self-love, then I can give it. And that's what I bring to that is my mess and my purpose now, to give love. So that's what I do. So my son, it's all about love. And at the end of the day, we all have a shelf life. So that the most important thing in this life is all about love. So this is my highest
Absolutely.
core value. My highest core value is love. And how I identify myself as a mother is love. How I identify myself as a human being is love.
Yeah.
Love for my
Yes.
family. Now, am I a perfect mother? Absolutely not. Do I want to be?
I don't think we even know what that is.
No, but I love my imperfections. You know, I'm a badass bitch on a bike. You know, I love that imperfection. And I love that I do all kinds of things and I'm a little bit naughty, but that's fun, you know? I, I do all kinds of things and I have fun with my autistic son. We do all kinds of things and I'm very proud of all of my children. You know, have I made a ton of mistakes? Absolutely. You know, I've written a novel about it. We haven't had a chance to talk about that.
Well, yeah, that's good. Then, well, one of the next questions is, yeah, what are the projects that you're working on that you are getting close to unveiling to the world?
Yeah, so I've written this novel, Bride Doll. Okay, so it was published in 2021, and it's a love story, and it's about a young woman named Naya, and it's a love journey finding the fantasy of true love when she was married at 21, thinking, you know, the Cinderella idea of true love, where, you know, her first marriage crashed and burned. The bones of this are memoir. And ultimately, so if you know anything about love attachment styles, she had a very insecure, fearful attachment style. And the husband she married had an avoidant attachment style. And they clashed and they did not know their core values. Their core values did not match. So anyway, the marriage burned due to his infidelity. Anyway, the second marriage did not work either. Autistic child. Bones are memoir. But the third marriage, beautiful, both secure attachment style. Beautiful marriage in France. And it's many themes in this book. But what I'm doing now with this book is I'm taking out the scenes and I'm writing a book. It's going to be more in the self-help zone, codependency to interdependency. So a thriving, loving relationship. So it's going to be how to go from codependency to interdependency, a woman's journey from trauma to triumph. That's the working title. So
I love that.
yeah, so I'm taking the scenes out, analyzing them, what were the problems and how to fix it.
Very cool. That's super exciting. Well, that was one of my other questions as well. Or books that you would that's really, you know, transformed areas in your life that you would absolutely recommend to people?
Well, what you know, some of the foundational things that I really recommend are a lot of Gabor Mate's work, who's a Canadian physician who really understands the underpinning of addiction and alcoholism and, you know, what really makes it tick. And that really is, you know, the physical, mental aspect, the hard, real truth of what's happening there. And then the psychosocial aspect, the social aspect is Brené Brown. You know, her work is so beautiful, but she is a recovering alcoholic.
Yes.
And so her work is so beautiful and absolutely true to how to keep recovery. But how to live an amazing, beautiful life, you know, and her words of all the core values, you know, all 100 of them. You know, what does honesty mean? What does trust mean? What does compassion mean? If you go into her latest book, it's just beautiful if you understand all of those words and put your 10 core values and stand on your 10 core values. You're standing on your foundation of your own well-being, and that is living authentically. You know, we use that word authenticity, but what does it really mean to you?
Right.
When you define it, it is your own core values. But most people
Absolutely.
don't even know their own core values. 87% of the adult population cannot write down their own core values.
It's yes, I'm sure that's very true. You know, I don't even know if I really fully stepped into mine or knew what they were until probably a few years ago. But I found this amazing story told by Ram Dass about how his guru told him, Ram Dass, love everyone and tell the truth. And he was like, but I can't. The truth is that I don't love everyone. So how could I love everyone and tell the truth? And then one day it was as if he just felt it. He felt what it truly meant, because I don't think it's something that we understand. It's something that we come to like an awareness of, and it's what we start to step into and embody.
Mm-hmm. So I think it has to do with when you had that bit of conversation with me right now. I think it has to do with experience as well. So
Absolutely.
when in the moment, so living in the moment, you can love that moment of being with someone. And it took me a long time to live in the moment and love the moment of that experience. So I'm not sure how old you are, and it's none of my business, but when I was your age, possibly you're in your 20s or early 30s. I'm just
I
guessing.
appreciate that, but I'll be 39 this year. But I will
I
gladly receive that.
I could not. I was only, you know, in fifth gear, thinking about, you know, what's happening next, or what happened last. I wasn't in the moment. I couldn't do that. That was too hard for me.
Right.
I was just whizzing around, and that was never good for me. I couldn't settle down. I was never calm inside. That now I'm totally calm, and I love that.
I can imagine. I mean, yes, I think that's for me. I think that the feeling that I'm most seeking after, which I find the best way to receive it is not to seek after it, is peace. You know, because that truly is always there within us. It's just a matter of really tuning in to it.
Tuning into it, yes.
Yes.
So when you live a spiritual life, or for me, which I'm speaking for myself, I'm normally in peace. So 80% of my day is peaceful.
I love that. I love that. Well, and you know, that speaks to all the tools that you utilize in your life that, you know, bring you back to that place of centeredness, that place of groundedness, the things that bring you joy. It's so important that we as mothers and women and everyone on this planet, but especially mothers, finding the things that bring you joy and making sure that you are providing those things for yourself, so that when the moments of chaos overcome, you have the resilience and the grace to receive the moment for whatever it is.
And it's hard to do it alone. I couldn't do it alone. I needed community. You know, for me, it
Absolutely.
was AA and other women groups to, you know, to reach out to other women to help and to be on the same wavelength, to get your tribe, to find a commonality, you know, to stay in the right places, you know, people, places, and things in the wrong direction, but people who have similar core values. You know, if you know your core value is trust and you're with untrust, you know, it's simple question. You know, is this in my zone of core value of trust? It's a yes or no question, right? If
Yeah.
no, move on. You know, is this in my core value of compassion? Is this person in my yes or no question? If it's a no, move on. You know, core
Yeah,
values keep you in your authentic zone, right?
for
You
sure.
know, if more people operated within their core values, it keeps life simple for them if their core values were front and center.
So true. Well, and I'm guessing that you, and we could probably go on forever with our chat. But before we jump off, how how do you help people? And you work with specifically just women?
I will see men as well. I love working with men, but primarily I see women, and I do love seeing women who want to have a sober life, and I see women in groups or I see them one-on-one. So women new to recovery who want recovery, or women who are interested in just questioning about whether they're interested in a sober life, or women who have sobriety for at least 2 years and are interested in looking at sober relationships. So
Very
interested in finding
cool.
love, who want to make sure that they are not going to repeat old love patterns and want to move on to find a secure love relationship, secure love attachment style, and have a beautiful love relationship of health, wealth, and abundance.
I love that so much. Well, I'm so grateful that you are doing this work. As I mentioned, it is so needed. I mean, I, on my own journey, have had many moments where I needed the support of other women and friends. And I just love the work that you're doing, and I'm excited to see how it continues to evolve and grow. And where do people find you if they want to connect with you and learn more about what your offerings are?
Okay, so place to find me, Elizabeth Nancy Jansen. My website, www.elizabethnancyjansen.com. And my first consultation is free. So just click on and we'll make an appointment, or you can message me, Jansen, Elizabeth Nancy, on Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, but LinkedIn is the best place to get me. Email
I love it.
at elizabethnancyjansen.com.
Perfect. I gotta start being on LinkedIn more. I hear it's the new place to be. Well, it's not new, but it seems like it's newly popular again.
Yes, but here I will get messages. Love to, you know, if you've just got an inquiry about sober living, but you know, so many women, you know, in the wine culture, let's go for a glass of wine, let's do this, and it's all around wine, and it just got out of hand for me. And it's so easy, you know, once you're a cucumber and you cross the line into a pickle, you can never be a cucumber again. I know that's a little joke, but you know, you can't, once you're an alcoholic, you cannot go back.
No, I hear you. It's definitely an ongoing, ever evolving journey. So I'm so happy that you're here to support women in that way.
Yeah, and I do it philanthropically as well, just quickly. So 50% of all the income I make in helping women in recovery, I give back to women in recovery homes. So many women who relapse and go back out, I help in the recovery homes so that they can stay in these homes to keep them safe while they go into their 12-step recovery or whatever recovery program they're in, so that they can get strong in their programs until they can go safely back to their homes and get their children back. So when you help women in recovery, you help their children. So that's what I do.
Yes, I love that. Well, that brings me to an episode that I just released on my podcast, which, by the way, this is, if for anyone tuning in, this is my live version of my podcast. I offer the same theme on my podcast where empaths get real and raw about the mother wound. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's called Real Raw Momma. And one of the most recent episodes I did was entitled "How We Treat Mothers is How We Treat Children is How We Treat the Earth." Because truly, that's where it all begins. You know, the circle of life
Yeah.
is, you know, mothers. They really are the source, and they are the ones that are raising the future generations. And so I'm so grateful. I'm starting a new practice that Shirley in the Mom Link turned me on to. Thank you. Everywhere she goes and she sees a mother, she thanks them for having the courage and bravery to be a mother. And so thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having the courage and the bravery to be a mother and to be on the journey that you're on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm sure I would love to collaborate again soon, and we'll go into more like relationship topics. I think that would be great.
That would be fabulous.
Awesome. Well, I thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope you have a happy weekend and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.